Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, I want to give you a couple of hot takes on a couple of things in the game. So we've got this special summon rush has actually gone live. We're going to break down the rewards for this. First of all, a quick couple of tips in terms of the summon pool. As you guys, I think, rightly pointed out, this summon pool will actually carry over into the champion chase at the weekend. So if you are interested at all in points for that champion chase, whether you're doing the fusion or hey, you might as well get points for it in case you grab a couple of small rewards, like maybe a little bit of energy or gems or something. You should save your summons for this for the weekend. So that is actually what I am doing. Also, in terms of the Prism crystals, right? I thought this is a really interesting comment from Kresnik OS or S. What's that? Old school RuneScape? I love it. I never played RuneScape myself, actually. But just an alternative take on these Prism events, which I hadn't really thought about before. And I think that's it's useful to get different perspectives. So he says, I'm a huge fan of Prism shards as a free-to-play player. I'm glad they've settled on the sacred shard rates. I feel like it's a fair balance, and it's reasonable to grind out 2 to 3 from the in-game events. The last Prism event got me Neldor and Geomancer, which are huge additions to my roster. I'm hoping I can get my first Ugo at this event. Update, got my Ugo. He got it. They didn't save him for the weekend, which is a bit of a bummer, but I mean, he got Ugo. You know, this is an interesting one to me. It's something that's worth considering. Now, Sand Devil tournaments is often where they have these prisms, most usually, and I really have thought of that traditionally as a very late game thing. Sand Devil turn attack, it's very late game, but this is something you might be able to do from the mid game. Like, if you have a Godseeker in Eerie, you know, especially with the nerfed boss, it becomes very possible to push up pretty high and to do this, right? If you just with Godseeker, without a Godseeker, I don't know, how far can you get without a Godseeker? Like, I was fairly easily, I would say, doing like stage 20 or so of Sand Devil on the test server with, you know, with the Fusion and Arbiter and what's her name, Adolin. But that was like with pretty crazy gear. I'm curious, let me know in the comments below. And actually, you know what? Include, because I still have to do a giveaway. I'm a day late for my giveaway. I'll send it into Plarium though. Give me your UM number. We'll have 5 winners. I think you guys can win some gems and some stuff like that. Just small rewards, but still nice. And let me know how far, as a free-to-play, you can go in Sand Devil, right? Without Godseeker. Anyone running non-Godseeker, how far can you get? I am curious. Yeah, if you want to join the giveaway anyway, you know, you could just, I don't know, tell me how far you are in, or how you found the Sand Devil nerfs, right? If you're not early gamer free to play, you want to join in, tell me how you found the Sand Devil nerfs. Has it let you push further? Have you changed up your teams? I'm curious. But yeah, so the Sand Devil Prism Crystals are maybe a decent chunk more doable. Certainly not for early game, but for mid game players, you know what? Maybe you could grind them out. And at that point, I mean, here's the thing. They are rather like a sacred shard. Now, the difference is it's not helping you with the fusion or any other sorts of big event. It's not helping you. There's no mercy timer either. But nonetheless, I mean, you do have a chance for so just grinding your Sand Devil, even for mid-game. And you could potentially walk away with a really game-changing Faction Unity Legendary. It's very unlikely. Like, 1 out of 4 of the 6% of players, you know, so like 1% of people that do it. But I mean, if I think about that, if I have 100 viewers, if everyone went and did just the Sand Devil tournament, 1 out of 100 of you would be getting the Faction Unity Champion every time they do this. Like, that becomes kind of significant. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm sort of making me, and look, honestly, any of these legendaries would be nice. And like the commenter said here, like Kresnik said, he's getting really good epics out of it. Like, there's some epics in there that are kind of good epics, but there's other ones that are good to have. Like, Ugo's great, Skrank is great, this guy's great. Even all Gruckus ain't bad for fire. Like, there's some decent ones in there. It's an interesting concept. And touching on that, we've got this Dungeon Divers, which has gone live. And this becomes tricky. But, like, if you're doing the fusion, you know, if we do replace that in our mind with a sacred shard, right? And again, remember, it's like a sacred shard in an extremely good 10x, like an uber 10x event. But there's no mercy, there's no fusion. But imagine it's a sacred shard. I mean, that does become something that might be worth saving your gems for and grinding out if you have the resources to do so. Now, again, I wouldn't be putting fusions in general in jeopardy or like completely bankrupting your account. But I mean, if you've got a few gems stockpiled up, yeah, you know what? Actually, maybe. I think I probably will go for this myself, grinding it out. So yeah, it's sort of making me re-look at the Prism Crystal. I still don't love these events because it's mostly a whale thing. But yeah, that was sort of, I thought it was a really interesting comment from an actual free-to-play player. I don't know if he's mid-game or late game or what. I mean, considering he got his things pretty quickly, he's probably more mid to late game, I would think, if he's able to get the Sand Devil stuff done that quickly, because the Dungeon Divers wasn't up, and I mean, doing Dungeon Divers quickly would be even harder. It's an interesting thought, though. It's a very interesting thought. Anyway, let's look at this Summon Rush then. And again, I wanted to break this down because I think it's also quite interesting. So we've got the fragments. You've got 25 for 2,850, 25 for 4,550. They have upped the points for Ancients and for Primal Shards for this one. So you can see for this particular event, a Primal Shard is almost equal to a Sacred. I mean, well, it's whatever, 20% less points than a Sacred Shard, but it's pretty comparable. And Voids are sort of like 1/3, Ancients are 1/3 of a Void Shard. That's still not super amazing in terms of Summon Rush, because like a Void Shard is probably worth, in terms of real money, right? If you want to look at it in that perspective, a Void Shard is probably worth about 3 times as much as an Ancient. Like, they're usually for $3 to $3.50, whereas the Ancient might be like $1 or so. And the Primals are maybe more like 4 or 5. And Sacreds are like 15 to 20 in terms of real money. But yeah, and then they did sell the mysteries ones for April Fools. But I thought that what would be interesting here, I broke down basically, these are how many Ancients you need, right? So for the just the first 25 fragments, it's going to cost you 71 Ancients. That's pretty rough, I would say, for just 25 fragments of an epic. That's definitely high, right? Like you might be looking to get, that's a little bit higher, I would say, on average than doing like a typical champion chase for a fusion. A little bit higher, similar, and I'd say probably about 60 would be my ballpark for like Ancients for a fusion. So 71 is a little bit high, but similar-ish. The 50 fragments for 113. The Lego book then is 135, the Mythical is 162, and the Eternal is 187. Here's the thing, like, if I really wanted one of these champions, this is what I was thinking, it's actually not the worst thing for someone who's got a ton saved up to go this far. There's something to be said for it. Like, you have to invest a lot to get here. Like, for going an extra 20 Ancients, getting a legendary book's not too bad. Then the Mythical book, Eternal Soulstone, it's interesting. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to break down in my head, for somebody that has that many shards, what are the opportunity costs? So the big ones for me would be, as an endgame player, my perspective, we're going to break down everything though. I would say these are the big ones. A double legendary event. In a double legendary event, as soon as you get a legendary, you get a second one for free. So with that event, there's less rewards. Like, there usually wouldn't be anything like this going on, but you would get more legendaries. That's, that's a fun event. But so many of the legendaries are kind of like not that impactful. I mean, it's still doubling your chances of getting a good one like Harima or something, but still. Guaranteed epic events, that is something, I don't super recommend these, but they can be good. Now, the last one, I believe, was back in January of 2024, which was Lochwain for 40, for 40 points. So here we go. Sorry, I had to bring that up. It was all the way back, Lochwain, for 40 Ancients on the 9th of January. Nishak was 180 Ancients, so he was the last guaranteed legendary. Now, interestingly enough, Nishak, that was back in December of 2023. Before that, the last Ancient guaranteed was Alsgor for 180 Ancients in May 2023. We're now in June 2024. That's quite a gap right there. So, I mean, potentially, there could be another, like if it's every 6 months or so, It's been that since the last guaranteed. So we could see another guaranteed from Ancients, or it could be just the sort of thing where they're going, people don't really do these. We're just not really gonna bother. I don't know. I don't know. What do we expect from that? There have been other, obviously, guaranteed legendaries since then. I think Alatreon Blade Master, though, he was just Souls and Champion Training. Fatalis Blade Master, that was a deck of Fate. I can't remember, though, what sort of shards you were pulling. I don't think it was necessarily the Void shards. Deck of Fate, or they had a Path event for Grand Oak Podrig. But again, I think that, the Ancient shards are usually pretty terrible. So it's an interesting one, but yeah, the guaranteed epics for me is not a huge deal. But look, if they do like a Geomancer or something, I think it's pretty unlikely though. So I don't know. I feel like both of these are kind of weak. Like none of these are super amazing. The double legendary is fun, but not necessarily a huge deal. Though you could get away with an extra legendary, a small number of shards. I don't know. And then we've got obviously 2x Ancients. That's a pretty big one, especially with Epic Empowerment. This one's actually pretty good. You got a lot more Epics in 2x Ancients than just pulling in this sort of event. You also get more Legendaries in the 2x. You sometimes have 2x events with a 10x. Those are very rare, but I think we've had one for Kymar before, or for Lysandra before. There's maybe some others as well. They're pretty rare, so it's like a 2x with a bit of a bonus. They sometimes do not have any sort of event overlapping. They're just sort of on their own. One thing that does overlap with 2x Ancients, and where Ancient Shards can actually be good to fill in, is just Champion Chase tournaments. These can reward legendary books. These are nearly always part of a fusion as well. So that's a really good place to use your Ancients, especially if you're earlier game. These are the ones to target if you're early game, 100%. Ancients for fusions. If you get extra, you could potentially grab yourself the legendary book from the Champion Chase when you've already gone far enough for the fusion. And you get as many epics as you can, because the epics can be game-changing. For regular Summon Rush events, I would say Ancients are usually terrible. Another 15x as well. These 15x, I think this Summon Rush, the champs aren't great. But they're okay. But you could have ones for better champions. That one, again, is a bit subjective. You might love the champions from this one. But yeah, just putting it out there. So those are, I think, the opportunity costs. So when I come back to this, then I'm looking at these, for me as a late game player, this is somewhat something you could consider, right? These Ancient Shards, what would I lose out? If I did pull for this, what would I really lose out on? I'd get myself a legendary book, a mythical tome, which is really nice for me, an Eternal Soulstone. The mythical and Eternal genuinely might be more useful than just a random extra legendary. I don't know. It's a bit of a tough call. Let me know what you think. I still think I'm going to skip it, but I'm just putting it out there that it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Now, something else to consider is going for these fragments. It's a big investment to get your toe in the door, but then it can be, going further. This is how they get you, right? This is how they get you. Is that for every bit you spend, you're like, oh, it makes sense. Now, if I spend more, I'm getting even better stuff. It keeps scaling up. So you keep wanting to spend more and more and more to go the whole way. But, we're going to have, if you are doing the fusion, it's 50 fragments in there. We're going to have a 2x Voids at the weekend. Now, for that 2x Voids, bearing in mind, you can summon the epic fragments during it. You can also get epics from the summon pool, potentially a legendary, during the Champion Chase as well, which will make the Champion Chase earlier. Now, of course, they might always make the points really high because they're expecting you to do that. They've done that before. I got very pissed off. I did it before. I really gave it to them for that. They've not been as bad since then, but still, I wouldn't trust them. So that's sort of the thing. Now, honestly, if you skip the Summon Rush at the weekend, 71 Ancients for 25 fragments, I think it's actually fine, right? So if you want to do the fusion, I think grabbing the 71 fragments here is fine. And honestly, I would probably then rather go 40 Voids further. Sorry, not 40 Voids, 40 Ancients further, so I could save on 25 Void Shards maybe at the weekend, or 20. It's sort of up to you. You might be saying, well, I've got these epic fragments. I've got my Prism crystals. I'm going to do a big chunk of the Champion Chase for free at the weekend anyway. If it's 2x Voids, which is not confirmed yet, but probably quite likely. Yeah, I don't mind pulling a few Void Shards, and that's okay. And that's sort of it's a tough. Let me know. Like, I'm on a questioning mood today. It's like I'm just questioning everything. I I I could be talked into going for these, honestly, but I think I'll probably skip. I think I'll probably skip. I think I will. Um, because I'm in a pretty good position to do the champion chase of the weekend. Extra epic fragments for mod. I don't think they're that valuable. I don't have any epics to see, but like, it's not that much, really. Like, getting 50 extra fragments is the same as like 10 extra legendary fragments. It's not a huge deal. I am still very far off mod. Like, I'm just sort of looking at it like these are nice bonuses, but like I'm not expecting to get mod. I've got 24 out of 100. Like, it's not happening for me, right? It's not happening. I've only recently crackened out. Yeah, I just don't have fragments built up, so it's not going to get mod for me. If you're close to mod, then maybe. Ooh, free ancients, I'll take that. If you're close to mod, maybe, but yeah. Anyway, look, I just want to break it down because it's an interesting question, especially when I was talking to Eherbad recently, and he was saying, he's really trying to target those mythical books. And that's something I'm considering as well, very much as an end game player for end game people. I got 2 mythicals recently. I've got 10 books left. When I get Lady Mikage, they're all gone. And I will eventually get Carnage. I'm not going to have any books for Carnage. If I pull any other mythical, I'm not going to have any books for them. So this is definitely something I'm considering. Like, I don't know. Now I'm talking myself into it. Like, how good would a guaranteed Lego even be? Or a double Lego even be? Is it genuinely worth? Because you're still pulling 162 shards. You're still getting stuff, right? And if you care about the progressives, like I could go for the Armans tomorrow. I could pull for Armans, get a second Armans. Not get a second. Have a chance. Is a small chance. Let's clarify. Is a small chance at a second Armans plus a guaranteed eternal and mythical book better than a random double legendary or guaranteed legendary event? Let me know what you think. Lots of room for thought here, guys. Sort of reassessing these shard events. Instead of just going, oh, they suck. It's like, well, what does it actually cost me to do them? What do I get in return? Who is this worthwhile for? Let me know. Let me know. Man, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.